All right, everybody, here we are live at Ball Arena. Wow, what a game between the Denver Nuggets and the previously undefeated Oklahoma City Thunder. In the paint, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5, live here on twitch.tv/altitudesr. Altitude Sports Radio's YouTube channel is streaming the game, this show live as well, so you can find these platforms all over the internet. And we appreciate you hopping on. Remember, please comment in the comment section. I will be showing those as we go along. What a win here for the Nuggets tonight. So, Aaron Gordon, we got some rough news yesterday from Shams that AG is going to miss multiple weeks with a calf strain. So no Jamal Murray either. We don't have a status on him as well. So I'm not going to lie to you. I thought the Nuggets were going to get their asses kicked tonight. The Thunder have had this team's number. They come in here pretty much fully healthy. No Aaron Gordon, no Jamal Murray in the starting lineup tonight for the Denver Nuggets. Insert Peyton Watson, insert Russell Westbrook, and my goodness, were they phenomenal. I mean, Russell Westbrook was dominant tonight, and Coach Malone was singing his praises after the game, rightfully so. What he really talked about was Russ's competitiveness and his defensive prowess. He was gushing over Russell Westbrook's defensive ability, and he was absolutely great tonight here for the Nuggets, not only on the defensive end, but on the offensive end. He was phenomenal. 3 of 4 from beyond the arc was Russell Westbrook. He was 10 of 15 from the field overall. 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 29 points for Russ. And I got to tell you, the two-man game developing between Russell Westbrook and Nikola Jokic is something that is looking really, really good. So I almost tweeted this out during the game, but and I'm saying this half joking, but I almost tweeted out like, man, when Jamal comes back, is he gonna be in the starting lineup, or is it gonna be Russell Westbrook? Now, obviously, I'm saying that in jest, but I will say, Nikola Jokic in the two-man game between he and Russell Westbrook was dominant tonight. We got our guy KJ on here. All right, let me add you here, KJ. There's my guy.
What's up?
KJ, you got me?
I'm good, bro. How you doing, man?
Oh, I think KJ's frozen. All right, KJ, we'll leave you on there. Once you're in, just let me know if we got you. But yeah, what a wonderful performance tonight for the Denver Nuggets. The ending of this game was absolutely phenomenal. So Peyton Watson gets to the free throw line with the Nuggets up by 2, and I think it was like 20 seconds to go in the game. Misses both free throws. On the other end, he doesn't give up. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander drives into the painted area, tries to go for the 4-foot shot to tie the game up and send this thing into overtime, and Peyton Watson blocks the shot. So that was absolutely incredible. All right, KJ is back. KJ, do you got me?
I got you, bro. You got me?
There's my guy, KJ Granderson. KJ, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Good. I am live here at Ball Arena. Just witnessed the Nuggets 124-122 win over the Thunder. KJ, so I was just talking about the end of the game. So this, just to introduce KJ here, he produces the morning sprint with Raj and Coach Mike Sanford from 10 to noon. KJ is one of the newer producers at Altitude, and he is fantastic, and he's going to be jumping on the show with me a lot this year. KJ is the best. So everybody, KJ, our listeners, welcome
What's
to
up? What's up, y'all? What's up?
So KJ, I was just talking about Peyton Watson gets to the free throw line. The Nuggets are up by 2. He misses both free throws. But on the other end, Shai's driving to tie the game up, and he blocks the shot. Man, that was just so cool to see Peyton Watson, a young guy, come through like that, like didn't get his head down after he missed those free throws and blocks the shot on the other end. I thought that was just a really, to me, KJ, it was a sign of growth for Peyton in that moment to not hang his head and to make a play on the other end that won this team the game.
No, Dan, I couldn't agree more. Like, to be honest, that was probably the best thing for his confidence because, down the stretch, he missed a couple of threes, he missed a couple of free throws. To have the game winning, game saving block, I think it will do wonders for Peyton Watson. I think it could potentially springboard him in regards to his next few games. We'll wait to see if that's true or not, but I just love that for Peyton Watson. Um, you know, One of the biggest things, beyond Peyton Watson that we were able to see tonight was Peyton Watson, along with Christian Brown, Julian Strawther. The young guys are growing. They are all figuring it out. Like, this is a collective moment where the guys are all trying to figure this thing out. And I am, man, to see them figure it out in crunch time together. They're moving. They're, doing what Nikola needs them to do. They're not panicking. They're like, let's just take it one play at a time. This is what the Denver Nuggets need, and they will need to continue this moving forward if the bench wants to be trusted. I think it's possible, but they had to continue to build on tonight. Tonight was a great stepping stone. They just got to continue to build on it.
Yeah, and KJ, to your point, like the fact that these young guys are playing as well as they are, I mean, it couldn't come at a better time. I mean, you're missing two starters in Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like, I'm pretty shocked with how well especially Christian Brown, like, he's playing at an all-star caliber level. I mean, he really is. He was fantastic again tonight. What were his numbers tonight? CB 7 of 14, he took 8 3-pointers, KJ, 4 of 8 from 3, 24 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals and a block. I mean, my God, like you talk about Coach Malone was miffed over the offseason, rightfully so, and I understand why that KCP left. But my God, Christian Brown's been better than KCP ever was when he was here with the Nuggets. It's crazy. I mean, defensively, we knew what he would give this team, but offensively, for him to be doing what he's doing, man, like that's a huge boost to this team. And Strawther and Peyton Watson have been good too.
No doubt about it, man. I think what Christian Brown brings to this team, he obviously we know about his defense. That's like an understatement. But his ability to dribble drive, his ability to, not to be fearless, ultimately, going to the rim. He understands when to cut. He understands when to just pull up for the jumper. He understands when to cut off the backdoor screen. Like his basketball IQ is just rising by the game with Nikola Jokic.
Do you think Russell Westbrook has helped him in that, KJ? Because, like, I know Russ is like, I mean, he was like pointing to guys hit to Peyton Watson, Christian Brown, these young guys. Man, Russell Westbrook was like telling them where to be on the floor. And Coach Malone kind of mentioned that after the game. He was asked about that, and he's like, he is all in. He's helping these young guys. So not only is Russ producing on the court, but he's helping these young guys develop. It's been phenomenal.
No, it really has. And I think that's the great thing about Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is just a true vet, man. He understands what it takes to win. And for the first time, and I'm going to say this live, for the first time, I think he's doing it without an ego. I think he just really wants to win. I think he is coming to a place in his heart and in his mind where he knows this is his last stretch, his last chance to potentially win a championship. And I think he's giving it all he's got, and that's mentoring the young guys. And I think and we can obviously, check behind the scenes whenever we get a chance. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the one initiating that Julian Strawther is the one that closes out the game, not him. Because I think Russell Westbrook really wants to instill faith in the youth. And Christian Brown, he feels it like we just talked about. Peyton Watson, he showed it tonight. Julian Strawther, he's getting better. This wasn't one of his better shooting games, but he made a couple of very great plays down the stretch defensively. And so you can just feel Russell Westbrook just leaning into being the big brother to these guys and really showing them the ropes and helping them to understand that if you want to be a part of this for a very long time, these are the little things you have to do to sustain this.
Okay, KJ. I agree. I agree with all of that. That's great. Now we've got to talk about Nikola Jokic. I mean, my God, 23 points, 20 rebounds, 16 assists, two
Dude,
steals, two blocks. I mean, my goodness. And here was what the craziest thing was. So after the game, Chris Marlowe of Altitude TV asked Coach Malone about Joker's defensive abilities. And he said, do you think Joker's underrated as a defender? And Coach Malone, it was awesome. It was classic Coach Malone. He's like, look, if anybody tells me that Nikola Jokic isn't a good defensive player, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't watch enough film. He's like, I can tell instantly. This person doesn't know what they're talking about. And he also mentioned in regards to Joker on the defensive end, he said you don't have to be super athletic to be a good defender. You don't have to be the dude like blocking a shot and pinning it to the backboard to be a good defender. He said his basketball IQ, his anticipation is the best he's ever seen. So not only is Joker just doing what he does on the offensive end, but he's playing at an elite level, KJ, on the defensive end. I mean, you're talking about a guy who is elite, has become elite on both ends of the floor. I got to tell you, man, that is something I never thought I would utter in regards to Nikola Jokic being, close to at least elite on the defensive end. It's been wild to watch.
I couldn't agree more. I think the thing with Nikola Jokic on the defensive end is he knows the moments. Like he's fully aware of the moments where he has to kind of step his game up a little bit. Like I think a lot of people get caught in the trap with Nikola Jokic of he knows the games he can kind of relax on defense, and he knows the games that he has to absolutely go all in. And I think because he doesn't always show it night in and night out, it frustrates people because they're like, well, which version of Nikola Jokic defensively should we believe? And what I would tell them is the moments where he gets the deflections, he reads the passing lanes, his ability to, keep the rebounds from the other players. Because most of the time in the paint, defensively or offensively, he's being swarmed by 2 or 3 people. And so his ability and his awareness to know where to be and when to be there, dude, that is purely basketball IQ. Yeah. Now, here's another thing, Dan. When he doesn't have to carry the load scoring-wise offensively, it allows him to do more on defense. And I think that's where Jamal Murray, sitting from the bench, has to begin to look at this tonight and say, I can do more offensively if Nikola Jokic wants to do more on that end of the game. And I think that's where we could find ourselves.
I never thought of it that way, but you're right. And I would agree with that. And another guy, and really, I mean, I thought Joker's defense was fine in the first half, but the second half, I mean, it really it stood out. And to your point, well, who took off in the second half offensively? Michael Porter Jr. Yep. MPJ was 1 of 6 at halftime with 3 points, KJ. He finished the game 7 of 16, 6 of 10 from 3, 24 points. So he scored 21 points, 21 of his 24 in that second half. And to your point, maybe that did allow Joker to take his foot off the gas on the offensive end and exude a little bit more defense or expend a little bit more defense energy on the defensive end in the second half. But I tell you what, man, this is still an issue for me when it comes to Michael Porter Jr. I loved his second half. He was aggressive. He was taking the right shots. His shot selection, I thought, was right. I didn't like a couple of his shots in the first half. He took a couple at the elbow here with 2 defenders draped all over him. What are we doing here? But my thing,
a typical MPJ shot.
Yeah, but my thing with him is, and Scott Hastings has talked about this. The second half was great, but I want to see an MPJ where he doesn't have these peaks and valleys. You know what I'm saying? I just want him to be a little bit more consistent throughout the course of a game, throughout the course of the season, which, it's frustrating to me at times because the dude is so talented. I mean, he's got one of the prettiest jump shots I've ever seen. And if he can be more consistent, that is going to help this team get through the injury bug with Jamal and Aaron Gordon. And it's going to take pressure off, like you said. And if Jamal can do this too when he comes back, it's going to take pressure off Nikola Jokic to where he doesn't have to do everything. So, what did you make of MPJ's game tonight?
No, I think MPJ, like you said, he stepped up in a major way in the second half. I think, I'm going to be honest, in the second half, if he doesn't step up, they don't win the game. He opened up the spacing for Westbrook to kind of get downhill a little bit because they were a little nervous. If we leave MPJ, what happens? Christian Brown was able to draw a few fouls. Peyton Watson was able to draw a few fouls. You saw them kind of leave Julian Strawther boxed out a couple of times, and he finally capitalized on that huge dunk. And so just MPJ's ability to make shots, it opens up so much in the offense. So I want to answer your question, Dan, here for a quick second in regards to why MPJ goes through the peaks and valleys. Imagine your entire life, you're a volume scorer, you're a volume shooter, and then you come to a team where it's the clear-cut number one, Nikola Jokic, and a clear-cut number two, Jamal Murray. And they say, hey, we don't know how many shots tonight you're going to get, but somewhere between 12 and 16, you've got to make the most of these. When probably for the majority of his career, he's used to taking at least 24 to 28 shots just alone. And so I think there's a part of him that can't let go of the idea of, if I just had a few more shot attempts, who knows?
Like shoot himself out of the slump kind of thing.
That's really who MPJ is at his core, man. I mean, he's tried to change, he's tried to adjust. He's just a volume shooter. He's a volume scorer, and it comes in bunches. But because it comes in bunches, when you have to go back to Nikola, MPJ goes back to just standing in the corner. And they don't run actions for him for, we'll call it 2 to 3 minutes. He starts to cool down a little bit, and then it's kind of back to old MPJ. And I think it's going to be up to him. I don't know what it'll take, but I think it's going to be up to him to just settle into the fact that I just got to embrace the fact that most nights only going to get 16 to 18 shots. And that's got to be something that he has embraced from the beginning.
Yeah, and right now, KJ, it's going to help him in that aspect, because I agree with you. I mean, he took 16 shots tonight, so he's going to get more of an opportunity with two of the starters out. I did want to show this comment because this is great. We were talking about Nikola Jokic's defensive ability earlier. Dre VC, hopefully I'm saying that right. Appreciate you tuning in. It reminds me of, now we're talking about Joker on the defensive end. Malone said he's a great defensive player. So Dre says, reminds me of the post-game video from the Timberwolves the other night where Gobert and Ant were talking in front of the media about how Joker knew the play they were running before they started the play. So, that's a great point, because listening to those dudes talk about that, they're like, how did he know the play? And Christian Brown was asked about that at shoot around a couple days ago. And Christian Brown just kind of blew it off. He's like, oh, he does that all the time. Like that's not the first time we've seen that. And he said he does it like multiple times every game. Now I get it. Like most of the teams in the NBA, KJ, are running, for the most part, similar type offenses. So it's not like it's rocket science. But the fact that like Nikola has the awareness and the basketball IQ to know in certain situations what actions teams like to run, that's another great point about his defensive ability. And that's what we talk about, the supercomputer in his brain. We talk about it all the time on the offensive end because it's flashy and that's where we see it the most come out. But it's the same thing on the defensive end, man. Like that supercomputer brain doesn't shut off once he goes on the other side of the court. It's been a revelation to see just, and not only that, KJ, for himself, but like he's able to help the team defensively as a whole because he knows exactly what the other offenses are trying to do to them.
No, absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. Because he's aware of what they're trying to do, it allows him to be in position to affect plays more often. That goes back to his defensive prowess, his defensive IQ. I think one thing that really gets me about Jokic, and this is what really sets him apart as far as being an all-time great. You know, when most players study film, they probably study, how does a player come off of a screen? How do they like to cut back door? Which players do I need to stay close to on the three-point line? Like the typical stuff. I'm almost certain Nikola looks at the film and he's studying who's calling the plays from the sideline.
Yeah.
Is the head coach calling the play? Is the assistant coach calling a dummy play? What's the strategy behind how they're getting into their offense? I think he studies that way more than does this guy like to cut back door. Like I think obviously he's aware of who likes to cut back door, who's good from three. Like he knows that stuff. That's just natural. That's a scouting report. But I think honestly, he just studies the game and sees it from such a different angle because he studies the game differently. Nikola's the type of guy, he would look at what the coaches are calling, and then he would kind of lock that in and say, okay, they like to call this. This is the play that they like to go to when they're down 10. This is the type of, set they like to run when they're up 8. And he just is he's so aware that it's borderline scary. And honestly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, thank God he's a Denver Nugget, because I hate to keep going against Nikola Jokic.
Oh my goodness, it's insane how good this dude is at basketball. And again, like
Seriously.
it really is kind of shocking to me how much better he's gotten on the defensive end over the course of his career, to the point where, like I said, Coach Malone said after the game, he's a great defensive player. So I just thought that was really cool to hear from Malone after the game. All right, KJ, last thing I got for you. How about this? So they only played 8 guys tonight total. Like, that's a playoff rotation typically. Yep. The regular season's usually 10, maybe 11 deep into the rotation. Tonight, Najee, Hunter Tyson, and Julian Strawther are the only dudes that were non-starters that got into this basketball game. Are you surprised that Dario Saric is what it seems like is in Malone's doghouse? Because him and Russell Westbrook were their 2 big off-season signings, and Dario played very poorly in the first, 4 or 5 games, and he hasn't played since. And especially tonight with AG and Jamal out, your bench is thinner. We didn't even see DJ tonight. Like, DJ has been the backup big coming in for Nikola Jokic. Tonight it was Zeke Naji. But are you surprised that Dario Saric has been stuck on the bench for the last 3 or 4 games?
There's a part of me that wants to be surprised, but if I'm being honest, I am going to say no. And I think that's due in large part to the fact that Dario Saric was brought here. They'll never say this into a microphone, but Dario Saric was brought here to be Nikola Jokic light, and he's not being that.
That's what Scott called him before the season started, KJ. Scott said he's Jokic light, and I've been kind of giving Scott a hard time. I'm like, so when are we going to see that Jokic light come out of Saric there, Scott? Well, he's got to play too in order for that to happen. But I get why Malone isn't playing him, man. Like, he has been. There's no beating around the bush. He's been awful when he was in there. Now
he has, man.
I'm willing to give him a little bit of grace. I mean, he's on a new team. He's trying to learn to play with all these new guys. But man, the Nuggets have been searching for a backup big to come in when Joker's off the floor to just. I'm not asking for anything crazy, KJ. Like, I'm not asking for a big to come in and do what Nikola Jokic does. All I want is for them to be able to tread water. And what I mean by that is if Joker goes off the floor and the Nuggets are up by 8, can you keep it at 8 until he comes back in? Like, that's all I'm asking for. And this whole thing, and I know AG's out right now, but the whole situation of AG kind of spot playing that 5 when Joker's off the floor, dude, that's not sustainable. Like, they can't do that. I mean, look at how dead tired AG was at the end of the playoffs last year. Like, that is not a winning strategy, in my opinion. So, Zeke Naji, I mean, like, what is he giving this team? I mean, he got 10 minutes tonight. He was Zeke Naji. I mean, what can I say? I think at this point, Zeke is just who he is. But man, like, they have been missing a backup big since Mason Plumlee left, in my opinion. And Boogie was here for a while. He was okay, like pretty good, not great in the locker room from what I've been told, but they need Dario Saric. They're going to need him at some point in the season, and they're going to need him to be able to play well when Joker's off the floor. You don't want to run Joker into the ground. Dario Saric or Zeke Naji or DJ, they have to produce for this team.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think if you're looking for someone statistically to make an impact, it will end up being Dario Saric. I think DeAndre's leadership is what he's here for more than his impact on the floor. Respectfully, I say that.
Do you think they need that? Like, like his first year here, I got it, right? I understood it, and I think it was very valuable to this team. But like, Joker's been in the league a decade. He's won 3 MVPs. Jamal, these guys have won a title. You know what I'm saying? Russell Westbrook's here. He's a 17-year vet. Like, I don't really think they need the leadership of DJ at this point. I think it was valuable a couple of seasons ago. But for me, it's like, I'm just looking for on-court production now.
I don't know, man, because if you go back to Nuggets Media Day, Russell Westbrook talked about the impact that DeAndre Jordan had in him coming here. And I think DeAndre Jordan has the respect around the league to be able to reel the guys in. I think Jokic lets people know who he wants, who he likes. But then you got to have a guy who's sociable and who is connected in the league, like a DeAndre Jordan, to be able to reel those guys in. Now, I think DJ is the type of guy who reminds them in the locker room, hey, let's not go too far, because at the end of the day, if this losing streak continues, here's what can happen. I think he's kind of like a player coach, essentially. Obviously, you know what I mean? Respectfully, I say this, Nikola, he's not super vocal. He picks and chooses his moments when he needs to be vocal. Right. Jamal is more animated. He's more of the I'll show you better than I can tell you type of leader. And so I think that's why you kind of need a guy like DJ in the locker room who can just really balance it all out. Will they need that forever? Obviously not. But I think for now, they need it. Now, I'll close with this, Dan, to go back to Dario Saric. If Dario Saric wants to have any success with the Nuggets, Michael Malone's going to have to eventually understand if he's going to play Russell Westbrook and Dario Saric together, Russell Westbrook has to come off the ball. Dario Saric's best success is when he's running that high screen pick and roll at the top of the key, and he's able to eventually get the ball back, and he's able to pick and choose whether he wants to go in the post. He can manipulate if he wants to take the three. He can manipulate, drive in, and kick. And that's been his style. That's been his game since he's gotten into the league. And I think Malone has to slow down just a little bit his love affair with Russell Westbrook to really ingratiate Dario Saric's game so that it can maximize what that second unit could potentially do. Because I think he really could be Nikola Jokic-like. But
so who's the primary ball handler in that second unit if you want Russ off ball? Like who do you want handling the rocket in with that second unit?
Russ can bring the ball up the court and still make the decisions. We just need Dario Saric to be more involved. See, they have Dario Saric setting off-ball screens. He needs to set on-ball screens so that he can choose when to roll, when to slide, when to kick, when to drive, all of that kind of stuff. Like, he needs to be in the action. I'm not going to say every play, but almost every play. And that's what it comes down to.
I'm going to relay that to Coach Malone, man. That's
Please
good
do,
stuff.
man.
That's great stuff.
Please do. As a matter of fact, I know somebody's already recording. How about they just take this little clip, send it to Malone, and he can thank me later.
I'll ask him about it pregame coming up on Friday.
All right. Hey, sounds good to me.
Hey, KJ, awesome stuff, man. That was fantastic. Everybody listening, we're going to have KJ on a bunch this year. KJ is fantastic, and we're really excited to have him at Altitude Sports Radio. And we both love talking ball. So, KJ, you're the man. Appreciate it. And I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Appreciate you, Dan. See y'all, man. Be good, y'all.
All right. There he goes. Our guy, KJ Granderson. Fantastic dude. I'm really pumped to have KJ on the team. He's a really good guy. All right, so let's go through some comments here. Oh, my guy Daniel Miller. We got to get this in. What does this win do for Malone's hot seat? Malone's seat is colder than the Arctic Ocean, Daniel. Okay, he's not going anywhere. Like, I don't know how else I can say it. But I appreciate your consistency with these takes. I really do. I mean, you're consistent, to say the least. So, look, Coach Malone is one of the top coaches in the NBA. And again, I always say, if you're going to get rid of a coach, who are you going to replace him with? That's going to be better. They're not going anywhere. All right, we got D-Mac popping on here. Let me add D-Mac. There's our guy. He's getting connected. He is. I don't know. Where are you at in the arena here, D-Mac? Can I see you? All right, D-Mac's still getting connected here. So we'll give D a few minutes to get connected here.
I don't know if you can hear me, Dan. I can't quite hear you. Sometimes
Hunter
it takes
Tyson,
a second to kick on. So.
More first quarter minutes.
I'll give
tonight.
you the thumbs up when I can see.
It's really cool to see Coach Malone, and I talked about this a little bit after the Jazz game. It's really cool to see that Coach Malone looks like he is growing, just in the sense of playing his young guys.
It'll click on here in a
he's
second.
Sort of been forced to, but this is an area of growth I've seen from Coach Michael Malone this year, where
there it is. I gotcha.
He's playing his young guys. Like, Coach Malone, I think, really understands that he's got to get these guys up to speed, because if they need him come playoff time, they need to be ready. So it's been really cool to see that area of growth from Mike Malone. Hey, D, do we have you? I can hear you a little bit in the background.
Yeah, you got me. Can you hear me?
I gotcha. What's up, man?
Sorry about that.
I
was going to go down on the court, but as you can see, there's
they're
a
playing
serious game of rec basketball happening.
Yeah, they're playing a serious. Should we like do play-by-play for these guys? I mean, I feel like we should.
we can. I don't think that's illegal. So where are you?
Right.
Hey, there you are, Dan.
Where are you? I don't see you.
I'm down by the behind the home basket, Coors drinking area. So
Okay.
I'll wave at you.
I got you. Oh, I see you. All right, we're about like as far as you can possibly be away from each other inside the arena. D-Mac, we just had KJ on, and I was talking to him about something I found really interesting that Coach Malone said in his post-game presser, and you were in there with me and Scotty. And he was talking about Nikola Jokic is a really, basically, he called him an elite defender. Yeah. And he said, if you're not watching tape, you don't think he's a good defender, you're not watching the tape and you don't know what you're talking about. But it really is amazing to me from year one to now, just how good of a defender Nikola Jokic has become. And in that second half, I mean, he was like doing one-on-one with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, causing turnovers. Man, like, he's an elite player on both ends of the court. It's amazing.
Well, how about Malone saying it's one of the most complete games he's ever seen Jokic play tonight?
Ever. Yeah.
Ever. That's a wild quote when you think about, everything. And he did win the DPOG chain.
Yep.
I don't know, man. Like, every game for Yoke has been one banger after another, Dan. It's been incredible. A massive triple-double tonight and an incredible defense.
Two in a row, D. Third quarter triple-doubles. Amazing.
It's bananas. The biggest difference in post-game was the energy. And it's hard not to look at Russell Westbrook as the main spark for that fire. Everybody talks about it. Everybody. And, I asked Russell Westbrook, do some regular season games matter more? And he goes, shit, every win matters to me, with a laugh. And what's interesting, Dan? He was really great in his press conference today, right? Great mood, having fun, good with the answers. And then he left, and I sort of asked the muggles in the room, is he like that? And they go, no. But like, his reputation throughout his career has been the exact opposite with the media.
How many memes he's created from interactions with the media where he's just like scoffing?
Well, you know what we wanted to get, Dan, was somebody with a big engine and desire to win a championship, but you had to get productivity out of them. Well, aside from the first couple of games, how incredible has Russell Westbrook been so far this year? I mean, amazing, right?
Phenomenal. Indeed. He is really starting to learn how to play with Nikola Jokic. I thought their two-man game tonight was absolutely incredible, and it almost led me to tweet out. I didn't, but I almost tweeted out, when Jamal comes back, is he still the starting point guard?
Oh, come on, man. You did not put
That's
that
a
out
D-Mac
there, did you
take.
really?
No, I didn't. I said I almost did.
Oh, all right.
And I said it in jest, but
Okay.
my point with it is the two-man game between Russell Westbrook and Nikola Jokic, we're 8 games into the season? Dude, it looks like they've been playing together for a decade. I mean, that was incredible to watch tonight.
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic. And Russ has been nothing but a positive. And Christian Brown, who plays with a lot of energy, says that Russ even has more energy than he has. And I know it's not a big difference, Dan, not many days between. It is crazy to think the Thunder were here on opening night, and it was what, 102-87?
Yeah,
I mean,
they got smoked.
Tonight it's 124, 122. It's remarkable. So listen, I really do think the Dubai trip, Dan, was a real net negative for the beginning of the season. I do. I think they had a hard time getting to know each other, which is ironic because they were knowing each other as people, but they weren't knowing each other, Dan, as basketball players. And I think that's been the biggest difference.
Interesting. My counter to that, and I've told you this before, is the Celtics were there too, and they got out of the gate to a really hot start. But to your point, they're all the same group they were last year. So I guess I can kind of take that one. But how about the young guys, D? Michael Malone, and I was just saying this right when you got on. That's an area of growth I've seen from Coach Malone so far this year. Now, granted, with the injuries, it's kind of forced his hand a little bit, but I think he really learned a lesson last year that you cannot run your starting players into the ground, and you're going to need these young guys come playoff time. You're going to need them at some point. So I think that's a lesson Coach Malone has really sort of taken upon himself to fix this year and get these guys ready to roll for when they need them most. Have you seen that out of Coach Malone, and do you think that's a positive area of growth from him?
Well, he hasn't had much choice because of the injuries to AG and Jamal. Never mind the fact that Christian's a starter now on the team. So I will agree with you. I will mention that he only played 3 guys off the bench, not 5 like he did the other night. So we did not see – we saw a playoff sort of rotation, and those guys were Strother, Hunter Tyson, and Zeke Naji. So, but you have Russell Westbrook as a starter, like you mentioned, and Christian Brown as a starter. And yeah, I don't think he has much of a choice, but he still is trusting them anyway. So he has no choice, Dan. He has no choice, but he's also seems willing to do it to a degree. Yeah. I have no idea how Dario Saric gets back in the mix here. I really don't. But DeAndre Jordan didn't play. Zeke Naji only played for 10 minutes, so he didn't play that much.
Right.
And Dan, they went with a zone defense that Christian Brown said they put in today. They put in that zone defense today, and they ran it for quite a bit. Christian said we had problems in rebounding with it, but it was trying to. I mean, Oklahoma City still scored 122 points, right, Dan? So whatever they were doing defensively, and the Nuggets were down in the fourth quarter again, but they kept it close enough.
Yeah, 3 wins in a row.
Yeah,
5-3.
Yeah.
At the start of this year, it looked like the sky was falling, but Russ was playing horribly. Dario Saric, the 2 big offseason acquisitions, not playing well.
Yeah.
But over the last 3 games, Russ has been fantastic.
Yeah.
They're doing it without Jamal Murray. They did it tonight without Aaron Gordon. And how about Peyton Watson, dude? At the end of the game, he misses both free throws with the Nuggets up by 2. misses both free throws, doesn't hang his head, gets his ass back on the defensive end of the floor and blocks Shea Gilgeous's shot to try and tie it and send it to overtime. That is another sign of growth for me for Peyton Watson. Like it would have been really easy for him to sort of sulk after missing those 2 free throws. He didn't do that. He sprinted down the floor and really won the game for the Nuggets on the defensive end after missing the free throws. That was really cool to see.
Yeah, and don't forget, before that whole sequence, he had a huge three-pointer. And that's the second game in a row that he's hit a big three-pointer late in the game. And I asked Malone about that, and Malone did concur that you can't replicate that in practice. There's no way you can replicate what that means, the pressure, the feeling you get when you make it. You have to live through it. To your point about Malone trusting these guys, like, he's got to put them in positions where they can succeed, even though sometimes, maybe more than often, they'll fail. But for 2 games in a row, Peyton Watson's been big in big moments. And I think that's pretty meaningful.
All right, last thing for you, D-Mac.
Yeah.
If Christian Braun continues to play the way he's playing, and I was thinking about this during the game, and I'm serious about this. If he continues to play the way he's playing, I think he might have a chance to be an all-star this year. Like, I really do. If he continues this trajectory, he's playing at an all-star level, whether he makes the all-star game or not. I really do think if he continues this, he can be an all-star this year.
Can you imagine if Christian Braun became an all-star before Jamal Murray?
That would be wild.
It'd be wild, but
that would be wild.
Listen, he has been absolutely phenomenal, and you can't say a bad word about him being a starter or what he's contributed. Hey, listen, man, Christian Braun is a winner, Dan. He's always been a winner. He's always been a clutch player. So for him, I don't think this is anything all that unusual. I think it's a nice surprise, perhaps, or even if you believed him, it's nice to have some confirmation that he's this type of guy. But he's always been this type of guy, Dan. So I guess none of us should be that surprised. And that's why I did ask Christian Braun at the preseason media stuff about playing for Team USA. And maybe All-Star is a little bit far away, but can tell me you can't see in 3 years from now Christian Braun being a core member of Team USA.
Absolutely, and he plays the style of basketball that would work, that would translate over to the FIBA style game too. Physical.
It would be great if Peyton Watson was on that level as well. That would be amazing if we had 2 guys like that. I think 3 years from now, it'll probably be too late for Aaron Gordon. He got snubbed this year, which I feel bad for AG because I think he is more than worthy to play for Team USA. We'll see. But that would be pretty exciting, too. And they're on that trajectory. Probably Christian a little quicker, but it's fun to watch. So it's a blast.
It's fantastic. Well, D-Mac, great stuff, man. Appreciate you hopping on. What a win for the Nuggets tonight. It was a great game. The crowd was super into it in the fourth quarter. And 3 in a row. They're 5-3. Like, you get AG back, you get Jamal back, and this team has a chance, man. I really do think they're starting to look like the Nuggets of old, not what we saw to begin the season.
All right, Dan, I love it. What do you think it would take for us to be able to play some hoops on the court after the game's over? Like, what would it take?
Well, I'm showing the viewers the court right now.
Well,
I mean,
there too. We'll do double dips.
Dude, I would school these fools, man. Like, look at that's a brick. That's a brick. No, I'm just joking. But I mean, we've got the credentials, man. Like, we don't need permission. We can just walk out there and toss up a couple of baskets like you guys did at Media Day. No problem.
That'd be funny. All right, Dan, I'll say goodnight. Great night here at Ball Arena. We're back at it on Friday.
Yep. All right. There he goes, D-Mac, with the live reporting from just over by the Coors Banquet section of Ball Arena. Tune in tomorrow, 12 to noon to 3, Columbus, Hastings, and D-Mac. We will be obviously breaking this game down. We'll be previewing Broncos Chiefs tomorrow as well. Who do the Avs got coming up next? Let me pull up the Avs schedule. They got a huge win last night here at Ball Arena over the Seattle Kraken. Nathan McKinnon, 5 assists. I think that was a franchise record, including the Quebec Nordique. So that was really cool to see. Arturi Lekkonen's back for the Avs, so there's Val's going to be back soon. You know, it was pretty glum for both of these teams that play in the arena I'm standing in right now to start the year. But honestly, we knew this was going to be the case. At least I did, and I'm sure a lot of you watching and listening thought that as well. With the Avs, it was just they're so riddled with injuries. But with the Nuggets, you know, you lose KCP, Christian Brown's inserted into the starting lineup. You get Russell Westbrook, Dario Saric. So you've got to give them a little bit of time to see how this thing's going to work. But it's starting to come together. Like I told DMAC, it's starting to look like the Nuggets of old, not what we saw in the first couple of games of the season. So great stuff here tonight. The Avs play tomorrow night in Winnipeg. So we'll be previewing that game as well. We might have Connor McGahey on the show to preview that one. That's going to be a big game. Winnipeg's, I think they have the best record in the NHL. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow. We'll be breaking this game down with Tyler Polumbus, DMAC, and Scott Hastings. And we'll be previewing and talking Broncos Chiefs coming up on Sunday. DMAC has the Broncos beating the Chiefs in Kansas City. He is adamant. He thinks they're going to win. So make sure to tune in tomorrow, and we'll be breaking all of this stuff down. But that's going to do it for the postgame show live here at Ball Arena tonight. Again, the Nuggets get the 124-122 victory over the Thunder. Handed the Thunder their first loss of the season after getting spanked by the Thunder to open the season here at Ball Arena. So they needed this win. They did. Against this team, they needed to prove to themselves that they can hang with the Thunder. Because I said all last year, you know, the Thunder were great, but I said they're a year or two away. They're just too young. The Thunder could be a problem this year in the Western Conference. So it was good to see the Nuggets show that they can beat this team, missing 2 starters. So great stuff. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And we'll be back on Friday here at Ball Arena for the Nuggets next game. Who do we got next? There's all the games bleed together at this point in the year. Let me pull up their schedule here real quick. They will be playing Miami, and then Dallas on Sunday. So we'll be live here at Ball Arena for the post-game show right here, twitch.tv/AltitudeSR, YouTube live stream, Altitude SR on Twitter. We'll be live streaming all of these games and excited to continue to bring you Nuggets coverage for the rest of the season. But great win for the Nuggets tonight. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you on Friday.